Hey everyone, and welcome to another Weekend Projects Hangout powered by Radio Shack. Today we'll be talking about an awesome project. It'll actually be featured in Make 37. It's coming up. It's going to be the license plate guitar. But today, before we go into it, I am joined by the technical editor for the project, David Sheltamont, and
hey,
also, hey David, and then joined by the co-creators. We've got Matt Stoltz and James Rudder. How's it going, guys? Coming in from Rhode Island.
Hey. How you doing?
Very good. Thanks for joining us. So, just a little backstory. We kind of initially were introduced to this project like a DIY electric cigar box guitar in Make Volume 4. A little bit about that. Used a piezo pickup. It was just basically thrown together with some off-the-shelf components and kind of things lying around. Then the project was popular and it was revised by Mark Fraunfelder. Brought that back to you in Volume 27, and this time we added more like a professional neck to the guitar. Still the same cigar box design, and then including traditional high-quality neck with the little mechanisms to tighten the springs, make it kind of more like you'd see on a professional guitar. And then again, it was so popular that we revisited the design again, and Matt and James kind of upped it one more time with the cool license plate and some components from Radio Shack. So I've been blabbing along, but David, do you want to talk a little bit about how these designs were kind of different, or what we're using for the main project?
Sure. So what we're using, I actually gutted my guitar so I can dig it out. What we're doing is we're using a pickup here, which is just a metal bare wire cable. We're wrapping it around four screw heads here, and underneath we're using rare earth metals. And what that does is it feeds into a potentiometer, which right there, I think you guys can see it. Yeah. And that goes to then our audio out. There we go. All right, in camera. So that's a little bit different because on the other versions we didn't really have pickups in the same way. I think this is more traditional to an electric guitar, although full disclosure, I don't play guitar, so you guys, step in there and tell me if I'm absolutely wrong about it. I just listen to guitars.
So the pickups in this are really like you said, the main advantage here. Using the rare earth magnets and the coils to pick up the vibrations of the strings. This is essentially how all modern electric guitars work. That you have pickups like this. Now, they tend to be machine wound and better tolerances and everything else, but it doesn't mean that we at home can't make our own and wrap our own using the magnet wire from Radio Shack and a couple rare earth magnets and just some hardware store components, and there you go. You've got the workings of an electric guitar.
Yeah, and I thought
James being an avid musician and guitar player in a band, it was really fun for him to be able to actually build this from scratch.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a learning experience for me, and it's a little bit harder to play than my normal guitar, but it's still pretty cool to have.
Well, so James, can I ask, have you guys built more than one? Because I know you could try to build two of these exact same, using the same components and essentially the same parts, but they're all going to be a little bit different, a little unique. Do they sound differently, because you're hand winding those coils?
Yeah, I mean, even so I've only built one so far, but I actually have plans to build another one. Actually, one of the challenges with this project is that here at Base 20 Labs, we have a lot of CNC equipment, but for this project, we just went to this traditional, power tool, hand tools, and that was a little bit of a learning curve for me. So I have plans to try and, bring this to the CNC router and the laser cutter and try to make a different version. See what differences that brings to the sounds.
Yeah, totally.
But I think that's the beauty of this project is because in volume 4 of our magazine, where Ed Vogel did it, it was because he was volunteering as a music teacher, and some of his students didn't have access to instruments. So he took far more basic around the house items. He said you could do this with a pizza box.
Right.
So there's a long history with this here, but I think it's really interesting how people get musical instruments and express themselves creatively. So obviously I'm no musician, but I think that there's something really cool about that and really unique to the way that makers sort of handle their environment.
And so, I mean, handling your environment, like going from pizza box to maybe like cigar box, and then to like, where did the license plate idea come from? I mean, I was super impressed, and the license plate on the cover of the project says, like Ocean State, like Rhode Island, where you guys are from. I think like I couldn't even make my own license plate guitar without having like that cool license plate emblem. It's just like it's a really great design. It looks stylistically really cool, but does it add to the functionality of the sound, or it's just that's what was lying around on the side of a road?
Well, we weren't the first ones to do a license plate guitar. There is much like the cigar boxes, there is kind of a little bit of a tradition of these things being made, but
okay.
It does give a nice resonator, a nice body to the guitar, a top for it that really does actually kind of help out with the sound. If you think about that thin license plate metal, it will help reverberate and then pick up the sound a little bit more. So the license plate was a fun addition and something that we were more than happy to give a run with and see how it turned out. And we've been very pleased with the design. So we'll see as things go. Like James said, here at Labs we have a really extensive collection of high-end tools that we can use. So we wanted to make sure that with this one we were really using hand tools. We were using things that anyone can either has around the house or can easily pick up, and we're hoping to push it further with what we can do with the tools here of maybe fully routing out a one-piece guitar or something along that line.
Right.
So it'll be exciting.
And so I guess, is there another progression as far as electronics go, or this is a pretty sophisticated setup where you have the actual pickup being a hand-wound coil, and the components are relatively simple. There's a potentiometer, the power jack. It's really like the construction. I was watching the video. A lot of the effort goes into the construction of, like you're saying, the wood, and then adjusting the neck of the guitar and fine-tuning the strings. And then there's littler pieces like the bridge, and maybe what were some of the challenges? I know you said you couldn't use a CNC machine, but as far as electronics, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean the electronics actually. I had thought maybe I could build a coil winder or something to assist, just wrapping the coil around. But in the end, I actually just did it by hand and just sat there, one night, and it actually didn't take me too long. And it was kind of surprising how easy that process was. There's definitely some modifications I'd like to see done on the pickup. I think the rare earth magnets, to actually get like a nice strong signal could be sort of boosted, and maybe some stronger magnets can be used to kind of make it a little bit grungier or just a little bit hotter of a signal. Because I actually wasn't able, when I plugged it in and started playing, I wasn't able to get a nice like distortion, which was kind of interesting. It was very clean. So that the electronics were pretty easy, but I think the challenge was the body of it and setting the neck, and one of the main challenges is when you tighten up all the strings, that neck just wants to bend back, and trying to keep a straight neck is actually probably one of the biggest challenges with the guitar project.
Yeah, I can definitely speak to that. So I didn't glue mine because in the process of doing these builds, if we need more photographs of the build, I don't want to say, well, I can't provide that because it's glue. So if you look at the neck here, this is without glue, and I was trying to tune my guitar, and you can see there's really play here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys can see, but it's a bad angle. So in order to get this to work, you really do need to glue it, as we instruct. Right. But there are other methods too, and we saw in the comments of the blog post that people were suggesting you could do I think it's called a through body neck. So I have this other a dulcimer I made, and it's just like one continuous neck.
Oh.
And so I made this when I was in middle school, so it's still here. I haven't touched it, and it's obviously horribly out of tune. But there's no worry about that neck bend. But that's not what we're going for here, because I don't know, Matt, do you want to talk about why that wouldn't work for us with this guitar?
Yeah, so this was definitely something that we considered when we were designing it, and how to mount the neck and everything else. And one of the constraints that you run in, and why you can't necessarily have an easy through body neck, is because of the pickups. Because the pickups have to sit in the middle, and so if the neck was completely one solid piece, there'd be no space in there for the pickups. There are some, one of the great things about the maker community, of course, is since releasing this project, we've had some experts at these kind of things come back and say, hey guys, you've done a great job, but here's some suggestions and things like that. So we're definitely looking at some ways that we can improve this, and we'll hopefully even send out some notes here in the future that say, if you are building these things, here's a couple things that you can do. We've gotten some comments on some great redesigns of the pickup to give it a little bit even more oomph on the sound, as James was kind of mentioning, as well as just some design constraints to really make the pickups work even that next step better. But we also have some ideas of how to possibly reinforce the neck as is. If we just put a corner brace. If we bring a corner brace off of the bottom here, we can probably significantly help reinforce the neck. So these are things that it is still a living and breathing project. It's out there, but we're makers, we're tinkerers. It's time to figure out how to make this even better from where we've got it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, can you guys give us a demo? I mean, and so this project, some of the projects in the past, this like the cigar boxes I've seen, you can like hook that up to a Cracker Jack box amp that you build out of a cardboard box. This is meant to be plugged into like a real size amp. I mean, you're really making music.
Oh yeah, we've got an amp here. Hopefully everything will work.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, Nick, you say that because I really like the progression we have with the weekend projects, because we just did a headphones amp, and we just today came out with an FM transmitter. Right. And, so there's some sort of synergy with all these builds where you're kind of getting your DIY studio going. I mean, not professional, but maker.
And they're using simple components, and you can usually build them over a weekend. I mean.
Right, that's what's so amazing.
Over a weekend, yeah. Cool, James, take it away.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't really prepare anything too special, but yeah. So I got it plugged into an amp back here, and I don't know if you can hear that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You got a nice little clean tone right there. I don't have it plugged into any like cool pedals or anything like that, but. One of the cool things about this is that you get these like really weird sounds that you wouldn't normally get from a guitar, especially with the strings kind of being a little bit higher than they normally are. You got to get this like a little bit of like a wobble in the tone.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. That's my beautiful piece right there. But yeah,
that was beautiful. Yeah, sounds great. And so, how did you pick out? I guess. Could anyone use a different string configuration if you had a different sort of style, or could you? I mean, like I believe a banjo is a little different compared to a guitar. Could you kind of implement the same design, or?
Yeah, you could. So, there's like tuning-wise, you could tune this to how like a ukulele is tuned, or like an open style tuning where when you just kind of play the strings like that, a chord is produced. Yeah, I think the tuning that I originally set out for was sort of a like an open G tuning, or it's something that could be played relatively easy by just like barring or basically just like holding down like a whole something like that, which it's a little bit out of tune right now, but basically if you just hold down all the strings and strum, you get a chord. So that's a little bit easier to do on this guitar when the strings are a little bit higher off the fretboard. But you could improvise with like a slide, something like a glass bottle slide or like a metal slide, and kind of play slide guitar style on this as well.
So, and we also had some questions that we received of why do we build it out as a 4-string guitar instead of kind of a traditional 6-string guitar, and we were really taking that as that next progression from the cigar box guitars that had already been previously featured in Make. And so even though we went with a pre-constructed, nice neck on it, we did go with the same kind of neck that came from a cigar box guitar. So this is definitely a project that even if you've built a cigar box guitar and you said, you know what, this isn't quite giving me what I want, you could take apart your cigar box guitar and upgrade to the electric version here and get a little bit more power. So that simplicity and that kind of reuse was really the reason why we said, hey, let's go for the 4-string instead of the 6.
And then as far as so obviously there's the major components are electrical, and then to the guitar there's the body, the license plate is sort of like the front cover. James, you're using the potentiometer. Is that controlling the volume?
Yeah, so that's just reducing yeah, exactly. It's just a volume control, and yeah, exactly.
Cool. And then the neck is a prefabricated part, but you could supplement your own if you had some serious woodworking skills or had some patience. And then there are different styles of necks, and those sort of just go into the style of the style of the guitar that you want to make, or that also influences the sound, or again, I'm totally naive to guitars. I'm not David. I'm not a musician, but
yeah, the style of the neck, if you can see it here. I mean, this one's pretty straightforward. I just kind of trimmed it down a little bit. It doesn't. I wouldn't say it necessarily affects the overall sound of the guitar. I think it's more of like a stylistic kind of how you want your guitar to look. So it kind of leaves some room for kind of creating your own style.
You won't ruin the project if you trim too much off or leave too much on. So what it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
No, not really. And as far as the different neck styles go, if you even look at commercial guitars, there are tons of different neck styles, and even the types of woods that are used that different guitar manufacturers and players prefer based on how they feel that it helps affect the sound that they're getting.
Awesome. And as far as the wood that was used in this project, anything special, or it's just you can find it at a local hardware store, nothing fancy?
Yeah, I got some pine from Home Depot, really.
Yeah, we tried to make sure that we kept it easy, so so this was a very accessible project.
And again, the warning is this really is sort of not a simple one-day project, but more like a 2-day project, just because of the gluing that's really involved, and the electronics pretty simple.
Yeah, absolutely. You really do need to make sure that you give yourself a little bit of time for this, because there are different steps. But whenever you're working with wood glue and really working on a woodworking project that especially is going to take any tension, you really should give your wood glue 24 hours to dry before moving on. So definitely you can kind of build this out in stages of build up all the wooden components together, set them down to glue, then break out the soldering iron and put all your electronics together separately. But then wait 24 hours to let the glue truly dry before you start integrating everything together. And definitely let the glue be good and dry before you start stringing it and adding those extra tension and force to it.
Cool. Yeah. So be sure to be patient is the main thing. Awesome.
Yeah, it'll pay out on the long run if you do it at the right time.
Cool.
Yeah, another thing.
Add some glue to yours.
Yeah, I need to, but I thought it would be good to show off what happens if you don't, right? Because
sure.
If you're not a woodworker, I think let's take a shortcut. A screw will work, right? But we decided for this build not to build our own neck and put our own frets in. But if you look in Volume 4, we've actually kind of covered that. So I like how there's a little bit of back and forth. There's a conversation between the projects in the sense that you could go all DIY. But you're going to have to kind of hunt for it, or you could just buy a neck with frets, and like Matt was saying, you got to be patient with the glue, but it's nothing too drastic.
And the fret spacing is really important. So like you said, in Volume 4, they do cover that, and I believe somewhere you guys actually, I think it's linked in Volume 4, there's a PDF to download that will actually give you your fret spacing. But that really is important to how your final guitar turns out. So if you're kind of uncomfortable with that, the cost of the prefabricated and pre-fretted neck really isn't bad, and that's that one kind of real tricky point variable out of your project.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you guys so much, James and Matt. Thank you for the live demo, the co-creators of the project, and then David, thanks for joining on the technical side.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, remember, you guys, this is a perfect weekend project. You can find the parts at your local Radio Shack, hunt them down, most of the wood, local hardware stores. Just be patient. We'll also link below this, provide the links to the project. Go check out the video. It's an awesome video in the series. And as always, we'll see you next week, and have a great weekend. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.